Greetings, precious, beautiful soul that you are. I always want to acknowledge you. I might not see your face or maybe meet you in person, yet I know if you're tuned in right here, we are kindred souls. Yes. So we're all working for the same purpose, which is for the greater good of all living entities. My topic: liberate yourself. How to liberate yourself. And we have to first, there's steps. You have to first people have to get that they've been slaves. Now, let's look at why. Our nature is to serve, because our pleasure comes from giving. So what my experience is that when I'm in my relationship with the divine, in that, and I am, what is cleaning my house, is that's God house. That's the temple. It's the temple of the goddess. The kitchen, it's like if I'm working in the garden, that I'm there, I'm serving also the earth and the nature spirits. And it gives the little birds the opportunity to play, and the bees and all this sort of thing. And so by tuning in to, what would you say, that which is simple and natural, and allowing myself to do that, I have to realize that we've been slaves to a system, through force, through fear, through guilt, through anger, hatred, all of these kinds of emotions that stem from beliefs and thoughts and words, stories, to keep us enthralled, enchanted, involved in this whole melodrama that is set up for suffering. And what happens is there's also the other side of suffering would be then physical pleasure, you would see. So there's always a plus and a minus. And how it is set up is that some have incredible physical pleasures of whatever is available, what they believe or think, and others, it looks like, have a minimal. But here's the key. When you really know who you are, you're always who you are, regardless of where you are or who is there. That does not mean you challenge yourself to be who you are under any and all circumstances, because you'll create any and all circumstances because you set it up that way, you see. That's why it's important to know when you are speaking and using the words or terms that you're using them in a way that is beneficial to you and all. And that you also are working to go beyond the words, just be trusting your inner knowing and guidance. And so how you liberate yourself is to first notice how you've been a slave to a system, or what has really been limiting us. And some people don't even know they're limited, because they're so busy trying to be accepted, or so busy being involved in the media, or in their games, or in something that they're then the effect always of they're reactionaries. They're always reacting to everything. And if you're always, and that's called responsibility, you're always responding. You have the ability to respond. Well, I have more abilities than the ability to respond. I don't have what you say you're giving me, you see. I don't only have what it is I've legislated to have. You see, what you're doing, how we have imprisoned ourselves is by accepting these suggestions, by getting involved in all of this. So then, this also then determines how we are in relationship, determines how we are in the physical, in our health and vitality. It determines how the conditions of the environment in which we are finding ourselves. Like I've noticed, many trees here are dying. And I realize there's a couple of big cell towers right around here. There's also whatever is spraying in an abnormal amount of trees. Or maybe it's some other beetle. But you also want to know this, that insects usually don't go for that which is healthy, but for that which is sick. Same as in the physical body. If you want to be healthy in the body, also you want to have good chi. And that actually comes from also what we consume, because if you are what you eat. So, you know, people, if you eat animals, then you take on that consciousness of that particular animal-bodied creature, because you're taking their DNA, you're taking in their blood, you're taking in their energy, and it's affecting your own physical body. And then if you allow it, it also then is affecting the brain capacity to do things. That's why, or whatever we're honoring is, see, and certain foods make people anxious all the time. Certain things, drinking that make, they have an effect, you see. So the key is for us to liberate ourselves is to take those moments that we have and expanding those to be fully in the now, to be into our breathing, into our meditation, make sure you're getting into nature, you're being by yourself, you're turning off all these other distractions, because the only way that we can be enslaved by any person, organization, situation, relationship, ourselves, it's what's really us, it really isn't anybody else, and then we want to blame everybody else, is to set yourself free, because you already are, and the free will is the choice right there. And that's where it is. Are you choosing to trust all that you've been taught or told? Do you trust your own knowing, your own realizations, your own experience that goes beyond words, that you do not have to prove to anyone? People say, well, prove to me there's God. Well, prove to me there isn't. And what does that mean? Which God? How many? On what levels? And each of us, in a sense, would be a mini God, you see, divine being, goddess, a creator being, you see. So to liberate yourself is then to, as you watch how you've been imprisoned, and you could observe it, and you could notice, and then notice how you've been agreeing to it, you've been participating in it, but no guilt, you see. No. And because that will start to take away also the resentment and the anger, because we've been setting ourselves up for these no-win loser games that has a winner and a loser. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm good, you're bad. I'm better than you. No, you're worse than I am. This is the mind to separate you from your own knowing, your own divine powers, and to keep us in this what would you call it? Fragmented reality that has nothing to do with who we really are. So you liberate yourself, and you then notice, what are you doing to imprison yourself, and where are you locking yourself into these mental boxes without having an open state of being? Because if you could think it is possible, it is happening. Come on, that's the way it is. But it's not happening to you. And the more you know that, the more detached we are to this, but attached to the divine, our source, our partner, who we are, firmly established in who we are and our beingness, and get into that state of being. Is how would you feel if there was nothing to worry about ever again? How would you, we have to retrain ourselves, in a sense, to accept our good, to accept the magnificence of who we are, and how you start activating, use those powers and abilities, act on those, have that be your guiding inner knowing, not still small voice still talking to you. Forget that. If it's talking to you, it ain't it. It's the knowing. Liberate yourself. And then you'll say, what are those limited thoughts? Those limited suggestions? Those limited hypnotic trances? Those, what are you living in? What would be freedom? And there's only one free will choice. Trust your inner and your knowing, or trust the mind.